Hi everyone. So my name is Arne Allingham. Most of you know me better under the pseudonym Zingdad. Most of you know me best for my work channeling Adamu. Well, Adamu has asked me to do a number of things. First of all, he has asked me to arrange an event, a series of events as it happens. And at each of these events, a small group of people will be brought together, and Adamu will be having live, in-person, soul-deep conversations with the people at the event. Now, the first number of events, we don't know how things will change, how they will develop. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the first number of events are all going to be very small, very intimate, very personal sort of experience here in sunny South Africa where I live. So I thought for today's invitation to you, I thought to find myself at the venue where we're actually going to be doing all of this, where you'll be staying if you accept the invitation, where you'll be staying and where Adamu will be meeting with us and just show you around, show you what it is that we're doing while talking about it. So that's going to be the first part of the invitation. The second part of the invitation, Adamu will be speaking to you directly. I'll be channeling Adamu for you. For the second part of the invitation. So it's a pretty special event, and really the only way for you to know whether it's right for you or not is to engage with the invitation. So to start with, please let me just show you a little bit about, a little bit around here. Behind me, you can't really see behind me, it's a bit too close, but behind me is one of the cottages. There are two cottages and a little standalone bedroom, really. Let's see if I can show you the other cottage. There it is. That's the other cottage. I'm going to walk away from this one a little bit so that you can see it a little bit better. The cottage that we're in overlooks a really, really beautiful dam. And it's surrounded by fynbos, and in between the cottages, a place where I'm going to now, I'm going to show you, is a very special fire pit. There you go, you can have a look. So, just 8 people for 8 days with Adamu live, and we're going to be here at the fire pit every night. Under the African sky, with stars shining down and a bonfire in the middle of the fire pit. And under those circumstances, under those very magical circumstances, we're going to have this shared experience where Adamu is going to be telling us, I suppose, the great story. Now, what is the great story, and why do you need to be told the great story? Well, the great story really is the great story. It's the story of how the universe comes to be. It's the story of how our galaxy comes to be. The story of how this race of people, humanity, how we come to be, how we first appeared in the galaxy, because some of you may know this, some of you might be surprised. Humanity didn't appear on Earth first. Humanity first appeared on a planet in the star system that we call Lyra, but billions of years ago, and since then has migrated across our galaxy and is to be found all over the place now. I don't know how much of this you can see. The light is a bit unkind for the video, but there's the pond, and there's the one cottage, and there's the other cottage, and oh, there are ducks flying. I don't know if you see them. Oh no, I don't know. But back to what I was saying. So humanity first appeared in Lyra, And then there's quite a long and complicated story. I mean, it's billions of years in the making. The story of how humanity migrated across the galaxy and eventually came to be seeded here on planet Earth. And it wasn't just a one-step process. It's a very complicated story of the different... the Neanderthal man was a kind of humanity, and there were a number of these different kinds of humanity that were seeded here on planet Earth, and it's a very interesting story how this species, Homo sapiens, how we became to be the version of humanity that is on planet Earth. So that's an amazing story. But the story, the little bits of it that I've already heard from Adamu, is, well, really incredible and incredibly deep. To understand why we are here, what it really all means to be an Earth human on planet Earth as we are, and why the world is the way it is right now. Because, I mean, there are questions that arise, obviously, if we are a galactic species, where are the rest of us? Where are the spaceships? Why are they not, as everyone always asks, why don't they land on the White House lawn? Well, yeah, fair enough. Why don't they? Where are they? And why do we feel so very alone? Well, there's an amazing story to be told. I'm not wanting to tell you the great story myself now. I'm not really equipped. I don't really know it. I've heard little bits of it. But for 8 days, Adamu is going to be sharing the great story with us. Those that are here. Do you hear that? That's a donkey. Bam Bam the donkey in the background. Over here, I'm just at this fence on the other side of the fence. I don't know how well you can see this. On the other side of this fence is all organic vegetable and fruit garden. It's a food garden. It's all completely organic. The people whose farm this is, they're my neighbors. They have this beautiful organic garden, and the lady, her name's Fiona, she's a trained chef, so she will be making truly the most amazing meals. You won't believe the food. She makes the most amazing food from this organic garden over here, and that's what we'll be eating. One of the amazing benefits of engaging in this process is that not only do you get to have a wonderful story in the evening, but you get to eat fantastic food during the day. Now, Adamu tells me, he assures me, the purpose of the telling of the story is not simply entertainment. He's not simply wanting to have an audience to listen to a story. He is really looking for a very, very special group of people. I suppose a group made up of very special individuals. Now, in the second part of this invitation, he's going to want to speak to that. He's going to want to tell you what kind of person he's hoping will accept this invitation and why it's not really suitable for everybody or anybody to attend. But this is the space. It's I live very near to here myself. I live just up the road in this amazing, magical space. There's place for 8 people, so it's perfect. There's place for 8 people to stay, and for 8 days we are going to be here in the evenings. Adamu's storytelling time, and not just storytelling, deep engagement, deep conversation with you, personally with you. And then during the day, there's opportunity for all kinds of amazing things. Excursions. So I live in a very, very special part of the world. During the day, you might, for example, go for walks where you can touch and feed and walk amongst elephants. There are beaches and forests to walk in. There is engagement with Africa's big cats. You can go on a safari and see all kinds of animals. There will be much opportunity. Now, if you're interested in all of that stuff, there is more detail in the written text, which is on the web page, which is devoted to inviting you to this event. I'll put the URL there-ish, so that you can please go and have a look. If this does sound interesting to you, please go and have a look at what the invitation also entails. But really, for myself, I am hoping to have a group of 8 truly singular, spectacular souls to come and join me, and Adamu, of course, here, that we might begin a journey. And the journey is the unfoldment of the story. The journey is understanding the context of who we really are in the bigger picture of the universe. And as always happens with Adamu, when Adamu speaks, you don't just get what's on offer, you get layers and layers and layers deeper. So you will inevitably learn a great deal about yourself, about your own soul, about your own place in the universe, where you come from, how you get to be here. Learn these kinds of things by being around the fire with Adamu. Now, the last thing before I go, Adamu wanted me to talk about Bonfire Convocations in Lyra. He asked me to reach into my own past life memories and to tell you about that. So I'm very willing to do that. I do have a capacity for remembering my past lives, and so I'd like to tell you about that, which I'm going to do in the next recording. So I'm just going to stop this one here. Part 2 will continue from here, and then we'll have Adamu speaking to you live in a little while as well. And we're back. I'm back on the cottage deck. I'm going to try to move around less. I was just reviewing that video footage, and all I ever showed you was the sky. So I'm going to move around a little bit less and be more cognizant of what I'm showing you on the video. What I've been asked to tell you about is my own memories, my own past life memory of my very first incarnation. I was deeply privileged to have a life on Lyra, amongst the Lyrans. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit about it, because there's so much to tell. Where do I start? Where do I end? But the little bit I want to tell you about is a thing that the Lyrans would do every now and again. I have a memory of what I assume is 3 moons aligning in the sky. Very different size. One was huge, one was tiny, and the other one obviously was in between the two. But these 3 moons all lining up in the sky, and when that happened, then we knew this is time for what was called the Bonfire Convocation. And this was a time when all the masters, all the wise ones, all the elders, all the leaders from the whole planet, as far as I can remember, would convene. They would all come together in one special place. And that one special place was quite near to where I lived. They would all essentially come to Adamu. Adamu was something like their... I wouldn't really call him a leader. He was more like chief counselor or something like that. They had a very different society from what we do. Just for one thing, these beings didn't incarnate many times the way we do. They weren't born and died. They projected a form. They converted their energy form into into matter. All things that are very difficult to understand now as a human being, but they lived one long incarnation. And that incarnation could have been thousands of years long. And in that one incarnation, they would go from a brand new beginner soul with a new form and everything's strange and everything's full of wonder. They would go from that to being a mature soul, a master, and from that they would just keep ascending, and they would eventually, their form would turn to light. They would become light beings and transform from matter into light. It's quite something. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to tell you about. What I wanted to say, I do tend to digress a little sometimes. What I wanted to tell you about is that the masters and the light beings were invited to these events, to these bonfire convocations, and as I say, they would come from all over the planet. And the way they would do this is that the beings who had transformed into light beings could carry those who hadn't yet fully transformed. They could carry them in their being like a spaceship. And in fact, these are the very earliest of the light ships that travel our galaxy. But the point is, the masters were all brought to this one location, the Bonfire Convocation, and there would be much celebration, great reunion, seeing each other again after, I don't know, possibly, decades or something like that. Everybody getting together and seeing each other again and connecting again, and such a feeling of community and love and belonging. The most beautiful experience. And feasting and celebrating. It was just really altogether a wonderful time. And every evening, all of the elders, all of these masters of the Lyran people would gather around this massive bonfire. And each night Adamu would speak. He would speak the story of the people. And the purpose of the story of the people is manifold. It reminds everybody who they are, where they come from. It contextualizes what's going on, helps you to remember what's really important, helps you to remember why you're really here. And every time you attend this thing, you go away transformed. You're deeply touched. You feel yourself really having been spoken to. Your soul is spoken to. And the point is, it's a convocation. It's not a monologue. It's a gathering of the masters, and the masters all interact around this. So as Adamu is telling the story, there's a very special kind of soul interaction. People having opportunity to speak into their story, the things they know to be true, and having the opportunity also to ask questions of the group wisdom. And it's just a truly remarkable time. And the memory of this, because it's such an amazing event, the memory of this has stayed with me lifetime after lifetime. When I reached for it in this lifetime, there it was. And so Adamu could point to that and say, please tell the folks about that, because we're wanting to do something a little bit similar. So here we are now. Something, as I say, that hasn't happened for billions of years, something that's never happened on planet Earth, is going to be happening for the first time. And if this is right for you, if you're called to attend, well, maybe this is your invitation. Maybe you're going to be witness to one of the early of the series of events, perhaps even the first one. But that's what we're doing. We're doing Bonfire Convocation. I imagine with a bit of a twist, because we don't have the shared memories that the Lyrans did, so Adamu will be trying to catch us up on that. And also, obviously, Adamu wants to speak to people who have the Earth-human experience. So not just that we be starseeds, but that we have deep insight deep personal, over many incarnations, insight into what it is to be an earth person, what it is to be this kind of human, what it is to live in this situation, because this earth situation is it's a pretty strange situation. The civilization we live in is strange, and it's hurting. You know, there's I mean, I don't need to tell you. You're also an earth person. You know, it's a mess out there, and so Adamu wants to talk to us to gain from our wisdom, and as such, he wants to invite not just star seeds, but he wants to invite the master perspective from each of us, so that it really is a conversation of masters, a convocation around a bonfire. Here in South Africa, we're wanting to do, to see at first, 2 such events each year, and then we'll see where it goes. We'll see what is required. I think that's really all that I have to tell you for now about the convocation. I mean, I could dig deeper into my memories, but I think that's enough for you to get a sense of it, to get a sense of if this excites you, if this feels like your soul is calling you, if your heart is ringing with the awareness that, oh my goodness, this is something I have to do. Well then, my invitation to you is to watch the next part, in which I'm going to be channeling Adamu. I'm not exactly sure what he wants to tell you, but he's going to tell you, and then you'll know whether this invitation is for you or not. And just maybe I'll be seeing you on this very deck where I'm sitting now, and maybe you'll be sitting in that chair. And maybe in the evening we will be up at the bonfire listening to Adamu, if you are called to attend. Okay, so next I suppose I'm going to channel Adamu. Greetings to you, my friends. I am Adamu, of the monadic entity of the Pleiadian civilization, and as you can see, I'm being channeled for you live through my dear friend, my scribe, my channel Zingdad. Zingdad has done a very good job of opening the invitation to you to attend my Bonfire Convocation series. There are a few things that I would like to add to what he has said. But I'd like to invite you right now to imagine with me. Imagine you are sitting with me here outside. Imagine it's nighttime. Imagine there are stars above. Imagine there's a bonfire in front. Because that will be how we will meet. That will be how I will engage with you. I will begin then to tell you, as Zingdad has indicated, the great story. The purpose of me telling you the great story is not that you need to hear the story. The purpose is for me to find the parts of the great story that really need to be shared more broadly. The great story is vast and challenging. There are large parts of the great story that simply will not be communicable, simply cannot tell you. And the reason for that is you inhabit a human perspective. You're engaging with life through your human mind and your human brain. These are linear tools. For you, it's very hard to comprehend a situation where time is anything other than linear. There's a beginning and a journey and an end. It's very hard for you to think of yourself as being anything other than that which is born, lives a life, and dies. Perhaps if you're a little more enlightened, sequentially, doing this a few times. You speak of your past lives. Zingdad himself speaks of past lives. Well, my friends, the great story does not unfold linearly. The great story is one eternal event. You can travel through that event and experience things as if they are linear. But that's not really what's happening. So there are parts that I will not be able to tell you because you simply will not comprehend. We are going to need to tell the story in a linear fashion so that it will make sense to you. It will have to be adapted to your comprehension. There are parts that you will not comprehend because they will simply be beyond anything you have any frame of reference for. And then there are parts of the story that you simply must hear. You simply must understand if you are going to have any comprehension for why life is as it is, for why things are playing out as they are, for why the world is as it is. And I'm talking about things like your current political state, your financial state, the state of the world, the state of humanity, the state of your souls. These things are not random, my friends. And if you are going to understand yourself and your world, well, then you need to understand the story. And I would so very much like to tell the world, tell everybody those parts of the story. But I really need your help. So I'm inviting a very special selection of souls who are currently incarnated as human beings on planet Earth. I'm inviting you to please come and engage with me. Allow me to tell you the bits of the story that are easy to tell. That will give us the background. Allow me to begin to get into some of the difficult, the controversial bits of the story. But in order for me to do that, I cannot have a spiritual child sitting around the fireplace with me. I cannot have somebody who immediately gets into uproar and cannot cope with this difficult part of the story. I need mature beings. You need to be a spiritually mature adult. So I want star seeds who have gotten over the noisy phase of their lives, who are no longer stuck in victimhood. If you think the world is a bad place, if you think it's wrong, if you think everything needs to change before you can be happy, if you think other people are bad, if you're struggling with your life, you are still in a phase of your existence, in the phase of your journey through human incarnation, where you are in what is called the victim phase. Zingdad spoke about how the masters were invited to convocation, and it is so. Masters are invited to convocation. So if you are no longer in the victim state, if you've really engaged your spiritual journey, if you've engaged in self-healing, if you've found your way towards some measure of comfort in yourself, in your life, if you're able to accept the world somewhat as it is, if you have found deep love for this beautiful planet that you reside upon, for the plants, the animals, and hopefully also somewhat for the rest of humanity, then I think you are more or less the kind of person I would like to invite. If your heart rings with the awareness that this invitation is for you and you are that kind of a person, well, then this invitation is probably for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to gather around the fire and we are going to share deeply. We're going to work our way towards understanding, hopefully, what the story is that can be told and how to tell it. Now, please don't be afraid. It's not all dependent on you as one of the 8. There are going to be a series of these, and I'm going to be working very deeply with you I won't just sit you down and start telling you the story. I will teach you certain things. One of the things I will teach you is how to bring forth your master perspective. How to make sure that while you are sitting around the fire, you are connected in your heart to the divine being, the limitless, eternal, immortal, divine being, the being of light and wisdom that you truly are. That being is there, and that being is accessing this experience and able to speak through you. I'm going to help you to be in such a state so that we will be 8 masters, Zingdad holding his master perspective, and me channeling through Zingdad. There will be these 10 of us sitting in convocation. You will learn a great deal. You will be touched, transformed by the experience. I will gain a great deal in return. I will learn from you, understand from you what it really is to have been a human for however many incarnations you've been on planet Earth. And together we will make our way forward to greater understandings. And this is the purpose. So it really is, I was going to say a two-way street because that's the English expression, but it's a multi-way street. We will be engaging with each other as the group. We'll be learning together, growing together, expanding together, healing together, and really in service of the oneness, in service of the greatest good of all. And it is my hope, my fond hope, that as a consequence of this series of Bonfire Convocations, that we will start to be able to release some parts, the suitable parts of the great story to the world, to a broader audience. So that's where we stand. But my friends, we are at the very breaking. This is not a good expression in English, at the breaking wave. We're at the very edge of the transformation of consciousness right now. A new cycle of time is busy beginning. The window of opportunity for choice and change will slowly start closing from here on out. This is a crucial time where we can make vast changes and choices which will echo throughout the rest of eternity. So let's use this time wisely. And to this end, I'd like for you to see very carefully, please, if this invitation is right for you. And some of you will ask, they will say, oh, but my goodness, this invitation is right for me, but how do I get to South Africa? Perhaps I'm not well enough to travel, or I don't have the resources, or this or that. Well, my friends, there are no mistakes. If this invitation is right for you and your soul is accepting this invitation, then you will have everything you need. It will not just feel right, it will be right. You will be ready, you will be able. And if the invitation is truly right for you, I will definitely see you here for one of the series of Bonfire Convocations. It might be that you feel in your heart that you are called, but things just won't align. Well, if that is the case, please don't fret. If things don't align, but you feel called, it's just that the time is not yet right. Or perhaps that you have a different role to play somewhere in all of the magnificence of the co-creation that we will be engaging in. Perhaps I will see you at a later date, perhaps a larger crowd than 8 people, and perhaps somewhere else in the world other than here in beautiful sunny South Africa. Whatever the case, this event will be the beginning of something new. It will bring an energy to the planet that will ring out, that will bring changes, and it is my hope to engage with you, personally, somewhere along the journey. Until then, I wish you every joy, every love, every piece. I am Adamu, and I have of course been speaking to you through my dear friend Zingdad, and until we speak again, goodbye.